All right, everybody, welcome to the Supercross Companion. We are going to be recapping the Houston rounds, and we are going to be recapping the Nashville round that just happened. But before that, quick word from our sponsors. We are brought to you by the legends at Boost Mobile. They have just launched a new plan. Basically, you can just buy data for an entire year. Can you actually look that up, Mick? I wouldn't mind knowing the exact. I haven't looked at the specifics of this deal. But yeah, I was talking to the guys, and they said it has just been so ridiculously, successful for them. People really have enjoyed that this is something that they are offering now. So yeah, basically you just do one recharge for the year. And you get a shit ton of everything. It's really good if you're traveling. Like I could see a dude like Brayton doing this, or Maddie that goes like back and forward to the US all the time. Pardon me. I could see those guys making use of this, where it's like because I used to have that problem. I'd fly home from America. I'd be home for like a month, and then I'd get a prepaid, which means I'd have to get a new number, and it just every time I went back, I'd have to put more money on it in 3 months, or the number would disappear. So it just turns into a bit of a nightmare. So I feel like these kind of plans are actually a really, really good idea.
So you got a 12-month expiry, 80 gig, $150.
Yeah.
And then there's the $200, 150 gig, 6-month expiry. And the big one, $300, 240 gig. With a 12-month expiry. Yeah.
So, and then I think it only works out to be like $25 a month for like that much data, which is pretty sick. So yeah, they're the new plans that I wanted to talk about with those guys. Also, a big thanks to the guys at Boost, because they invited me to the WSL Awards on last Sunday night. So I got to put a suit on. It was a black tie. I got to walk the red carpet with Caroline Buchanan. Which was quite cool. She's a bit of a mega babe and a mega legend as well. So yeah, thank you to those guys for inviting me to that. I had a really, really good time at the Old Star Casino. Next up is the guys at Nobby. Like I said, this is the time of month where the new stuff goes out. I actually haven't got mine yet. I need to change my dress because it's at my old place, so I've got to go back and pick them up. But yeah, everyone has been tagging me in them. They look dope as usual. You can get yourself a pair, not a pair, you can get as many pairs as you want. You can get a pair every month for just $20 by going to nobbyunderwear.com.au. You sign up, and then that is literally as easy as it gets. They bamboo microfiber, that the material that they use is so good. So good for training, so good for surfing, so good for motocross, mountain biking. I use mine every single day without fail. And it's just one less thing you have to worry about. So yeah, nobbyunderwear.com.au, and you can also follow them on Instagram at nobbyunderwear. So big shout out, and thank you to Mick for making the trip up. We will get into the show. Cool. All right, Mick, we're back. We are doing a bit of a catch-up Supercross Companion. We've had a bit on over the last couple of weekends, so we haven't been able to bring the normal Supercross Companion, unfortunately, but we are back doing a little bit of a catch-up on maybe two of the craziest weekends in Supercross in my recent memory, in terms of back-to-back crazy shit that went down. Mick, you haven't really seen much of him, so this is going to be a bit of a catch-up for you too, right?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It's been a few weeks since I've seen him, just the highlights package at the moment.
All right, so I guess, dude, we'll just literally start by saying that this whole situation between Marvin and Cooper Webb might be a team manager's dream and nightmare situation at exactly the same time. And I think that what we saw at Houston was just like, whoa, okay. It took, I think, 12 weeks to escalate to the point where it seems like the dudes threw any team orders, any mutual respect out the window. And they came together more times on that first lap of Houston than they've come together with anybody combined all season. So that was a big weekend in the series. And if you're Ian Harrison and if you're Roger DaCosta and if you're the rest of the staff and crew at KTM USA, there's like a bit of head scratching going on. Like, what do we do? What are we supposed to do? Like, we haven't even seen something like this since, I think it was like Stanton and Jean-Michel Bale. That's how long it's been since we've had the top two dudes in the championship on the top team running 1 and 2. And it's going to come down to Vegas between these two guys. And I think just because you go back so far, it's like we don't have like a modern day precedent for what's happening right now. And damn, if I could be a fly on the wall inside that truck on the weekend and then that race shop during the week, and then you've got the bakery in Florida. So it's like you've got these 3 levels of these different interactions and these different ecosystems that these guys kind of exist and work in with all these different personnel. Like this is a crazy time for these guys to navigate.
Yeah, isn't it? Like it's in this sport, it's something we just really haven't seen. You go back to things like Formula 1 and MotoGP, there's 2 teammates that have a really distinct rivalry quite often. But Supercross, there's been one person for the team that's been a standout, like an A rider, I guess.
Yeah.
But look at it now. That's huge.
Yeah, that's been the precedent for years, right? Is you have the A dude, you have the Eli Tomac, and then you have the Savachi.
Yeah.
And then you have the Dunge, and then you have the Marvin. And I think that KTM was so smart in how they groomed Marvin to be that number 1 dude and to replace that figurehead of Dunge that came in, won 4 titles, completely revamped the brand. And they had enough foresight to hire Marv, and they knew that he would play his role as that number 2 dude for Dunge. And Marv knew that they were going to give him that opportunity to then take those shoes and then give him every opportunity to become a champion in his own right. And that all worked out perfect. And it was going perfect.
Then what happened?
Until Cooper Webb come on the program. And I think, again, they were looking at like this same thing of like, all right, we've got our number 1 dude in Marv and he's going to win us a championship, and then we're going to groom Coop. And once Marv's won his championships, we're going to have Coop. But it's like they've almost got too much of a good thing over there, right?
Yeah, something in the KTM water.
And now they've landed in this crazy situation that, like, you bring up a really good point, man. Like this is par for the course when it comes to, let's say, MotoGP. Like, you're a huge MotoGP fan. Like, this stuff exists all the time, right?
Yeah, there's walls there has been walls put down the middle of the pit wall.
Yeah,
because of teammate rivalry.
Who's some of your favorite rivals in like an inter-team rivalry in MotoGP?
The biggest, I think, one in the modern era that sets a precedence is Jorge Lorenzo and Valentino Rossi.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys Valentino was at the peak of his powers, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
Developed the bike to what it was. And then Jorge Lorenzo came through in his early 20s and was a freakish talent. Rode the bike totally different, had a complete different personality, but was fast as anybody. Yeah. And that really upset Valentino at that point. It
got heated too.
Got massively heated. There was pushing, in podium presentations, there's pushing, there's, media releases of this and that, and then the wall got built. And that got to a point of taking that rider out of that team to another team.
Yeah.
And Valentino went to Ducati at a point, and a lot of that was coming down to basically the movement of Jorge Lorenzo being succeeding further on that bike.
Yeah.
Changing course of development and things like that. Who knows what's happening here, but that's one particular one. And then you go to Formula Ones, you see,
well, dude, the Ricciardo, Max Verstappen. And I mean, that was another 2 Red Bull stablemates.
Yeah.
And that happened in 2018 at Azerbaijan.
Yep.
In the 3rd round, and Ricciardo's behind Verstappen, and Verstappen just would not let him pass. No team, like the team gave orders that Max, you're the slower car. Bang, huge crash. Both of them were penalised by the Formula One governing body. And I mean, we're not seeing it escalate to that level in this rivalry between Marv and Cooper. But I mean, those first few laps in Houston was like, they hit each other more than they've been hit by anybody. And it resulted in Coop got the shits really quickly with it too. And it was instantly like, all right, this is my green light. Like, Marv's running in on me a couple times. Marv's made a bit of contact. This is my green light. Like, I'm good to go now. I can do what I want. And when I walk back in the pits, I'll be able to say what I need to say and no one can call me out on it. And it's like the floodgates just open, and then he pushes Marv off track, and it's forcing Marv to ride in a way that he doesn't want to. It's almost like we're playing this game of like action reaction, and Cooper is the one forcing the action, and Marvin is the one that's forcing the reaction. And it's very, very hard to feel in control when you're only basing your movements off reaction. Everything you're doing is a reaction to somebody else. And I think that there's a really stark contrast in mentality and the way that makes you feel when you are the person that is constantly forced to react. And that goes down to Cooper even just getting the starts that he's getting. And then that forces reactions out of Marv. Like, how many times have we seen that? He's been the fastest dude.
Yeah.
But Coop has got out front and basically said, Marv, react to this. This is what I'm going to throw down. And I just don't see Marv being the guy that's coming out swinging and then making Coop react and putting Coop in these situations where he's off track. And, you know, we saw that first main event at Houston, pushed him off the track, and then Marv crashed all on his own and then ended up back in sixth. So then we go in Houston, he starts ahead of Marv again. We see Marv crash in the whoops early, and now it's just this constant cycle of reacting to what Cooper's doing. And I don't know if I've seen a dude so stubborn, maybe since Chad. Mm-hmm. Like, Chad would win championships when he wasn't the fastest rider. And if Coop wins this championship, that's what's going to happen. Like, he hasn't been the fastest dude. When James won a title in 2009 on the Yamaha, he was the fastest dude. The fastest dude won the title. When Villapoto won his titles, the fastest dude won the title. But I think that you could say at times for Chad, he didn't win the title because he was the fastest dude. And you can say consistency, and you can say this, and you can say that. I think Dunge had consistency, crazy consistency, and the performance was just so good every weekend. But I think what you see with Coop's a little bit different to Dunge in the way that he does it, in that I almost think that Coop is so stubborn. He will not give up a point. He won't give up a pass. He won't give you an inch to the left of him on the track. It's just like, it is a dog with a bone.
He thrives on being on the back foot.
Oh,
doesn't he?
And it reminds me of Chad. And it seems like that sort of a version of Cooper that we've got is this guy that, like, just like you said, he just thrives in this, like, thrives off the back foot, loves a bit of turmoil, a bit of chaos. And that's what he needs to bite down on his mouthpiece and just keep swinging. And I think that, like, let's be honest, man, like, this is a huge moment for him. Like, he's on the verge of becoming a Supercross champion. And there's so much weight of that expectation. There's so much pressure from KTM. There's so much pressure on yourself. There's so much wanting to win for your family, wanting to, like, winning this championship for Cooper Webb completes a body of life work. Sure, he's not going to retire after this. He's still a young kid. The best years of his career are potentially ahead of him. Who knows what kind of run Coop could go on? But what this does is this puts a bookend on his entire life up to this point. You start racing at 4 years old, like the rest of these crazy kids, and then at 23 or whatever he is. How old's Coop now?
Yeah, I think he's about 23.
A 23-year-old kid, 22, 23-year-old kid. You win the biggest championship that you can win in the sport that you have dedicated your entire life to. After that, it's gravy. Like, the chapter's closed. You did it. You did what you said you were going to do every single day that you're at school, and skipping out on class and missing out on holidays and not drinking and all of the shit that you went through in your life. The injuries, the disappointments, the near championships, it's done. This is a closed loop when you win that Supercross title. And that expectation and that pressure, as good as that feels, I think we've got to understand and put into context how easy it would be to just not want any of that pressure. Like, could you imagine waking up these next 5 weeks being Cooper Webb with all of that expectation? And he has not taken one easy way out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not been one pass he's given up. Even when he's been slower on sections, slower in whoop, like, he's been terrible in the whoops these last few weeks. Terrible. For a dude at his level that's about to win the championship, like, I'm scratching my head going, what is going on here?
Where'd that early season guy go?
Exactly. So, but doesn't matter, because he's 21 points in front and he's still doing the damn thing.
He's still grinding them out.
And every single time something appears where Coop could slip up a little bit, take that pressure off himself, instead of being the hunted, become the hunter. He's just he's so stubborn and so staunch in not letting a person go by him, not letting somebody else whole shot a heat race or a main event, not letting anything slip through the cracks. And to me, at the moment, I think that is what's impressing me more than anything with him, is that it hasn't been going his way. He hasn't been the fastest guy. He will be looking for settings. He will be wondering why he's not getting through these whoop sections so clean. But when push comes to shove, he's the dude that is still putting his bike out in front. He's still gaining points leads with 4 rounds to go. So, I mean, it's a super, super impressive run that he is putting on. And I think that this will be a championship that I think will get remembered for a really, really long time, for sure.
This has been one of the closest for many years.
And like we said, man, the two teammates to be 1 and 2 this deep, and it's the best team.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, the situation there is going to be pretty insane. Like, I heard that they don't talk on race day at all. Like, not one word gets said between Coop and them, and they'll be fine. That's the words I got back when I did a bit of info finding. Fine, they're fine, but they don't talk.
We're both fans of the sport, have been for a long time. If you're, and correct me if I'm wrong, Marv, French rider, most of the European riders that come over, they're smooth, everything's really smooth. Have you seen him push to this point before? Through the Dungey years, everything? I personally haven't seen him get as aggressive as he has this year. It's like there's been something switched in there.
Well, I think that there's a difference. I think there's a massive difference between wanting to win and believing you can win. And I think that in 2019, Marv, it's not only that he believes he can win, like, he should win. He should be the dude. And with that, that's why I think you're seeing this aggressiveness. There is no excuses now. He did his time with Dunge. He was given that chance to have no pressure, to learn, to hone his craft, and be that number 2 dude, which I think is a very, very rare thing. And
I've only seen it once.
In this sport?
Back to GP, and we won't bring too many things to MotoGP. Denny Pedrosa. So it's the It's the same example. Red Bull, been in that factory ride for 12 years, I think it was. Had multiple teammates, but had Casey Stoner at a really big point.
Yeah.
Got positioned at the back because Marc Marquez came in, and it's the same thing. He thought his time was done, and it's my time to really shine now.
Yeah.
Then you have somebody come into that position, and you mentally you got to think you're at that point now where you're going to be that number one, and it didn't happen for him.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to happen for Marv, but this has been a lot of... How long has he been on a factory KTM for in America now?
Oh, it's been years, man.
6 years?
Yeah.
Have to be.
I think 12, 13. 2012, 13. He was there when I was there, like when I first got there. And, I mean, that's like... You got to wonder whether that was the move for Marv, was to like play that second fiddle role. Because it's like, we are only just seeing this version of Marv now. But you know what? Last year in the outdoors, I saw there was definitely like some flickerings of like this Marv. I remember the race that he had at Southwick with Tomac, where he was just giving it to Tomac in a race that he'd never win. Really, like he's not beating Eli there.
Not there.
No. But I mean, he had that level of fight in him. But I think that there's really no excuse for Marvin to not win this year. And I mean, the only excuse is Cooper Webb, which is like not a good enough excuse. And I mean, I think too, like Marv knows he's faster, which is got to be hard, because you're looking at these lap sheets every weekend with Marv, and he's consistently lapping faster than Coop. So I mean, he knows 100% that he can win. He'd know fitness-wise, obviously, but it's just that it just seems like Coop keeps making Marv react to him. And I think it's such a like an underrated kind of aspect of what these guys are doing right now. And it's like that's what you'd say, like he's in the driver's seat. He's making he's controlling the pace of things. If you were talking about it in fighting terms, it's he's breaking his will. It seems like everywhere Marv knows he needs to be, Coop's there just that little bit before him. Whether it's in the first turn, whether it's an inside line, whether it's fill in the blanks. Coop always seems to be there. You could see it at Daytona when he just couldn't pass him. You could see it in Atlanta, just couldn't pass him. But it's not through not being faster. But, that has just got to grind you down. And I think that some of the aggression that you might be talking about might also just be pure frustration.
True.
That he is always there. He is faster and he can't seem to get it. And even when you think it's going to be a bad week, like, dude, the heat race on the weekend, unless he cleans out Coop, jumps to the inside of him, smashes him, Coop goes down, breaks his visor. You're looking at a trip to the LCQ for Coop, which means God knows what gate pick, which means God knows what start, which means, hey, Marv might finally get up in front of one of these things. Nope. Red flag. Coop hole shots. It's just like, they're the kind of breaks that Coop is getting, and they're the kind of breaks that Marv isn't getting. And then you see, Marv goes down in the whoops. First or second lap of the main event. And it's like, is that aggression or is it frustration? And it could just be frustration. And you go back, man, like, this is what makes me wonder too about this whole situation, is that when we saw this play out at Red Bull Racing in the Formula One, we saw the Verstappen and Ricciardo incident. Then we saw relationships break down so bad with those guys, to the point where Ricciardo left that team to go to a team that wasn't even doing as well. He's been with Red Bull for, I think it was 10 years up to that point. Marv's in a similar boat, man. We could draw some pretty crazy parallels between what happened with Daniel Ricciardo in Formula One and now what is happening to Marv. And you got to think, man, we've got 4 weeks of Supercross to go, but we've still got another 12 weekends outdoors where these two have to coexist. And imagine the chip on Marv's shoulder if Coop's walking around with a number 1 plate in his back pocket from Supercross. And then, what? Is Marv the number 1 dude in outdoors, or is there just one number 1 guy and it's the guy that just won the Supercross championship? So, man, it's a crazy time, and these next few weeks is just going to be ridiculous to see how this whole thing plays out.
And I'll tell you what, it's good for the sport.
Oh,
this is huge. Like the Ricciardo Verstappen thing, I don't know the figures, but people were talking about it. It was just growing the sport even more because teammate rivalry is rare and it's huge. Like it's for our sport and being Supercross, this is a big thing to see 2 teammates just going at it 1-2 like the whole time. So it's good to see.
It never happens.
No,
it's so crazy that what we are getting this season just never happens.
Yeah,
and it's been so good to watch. But holy shit, would it suck to be Marv.
Ian Harrison sitting in the driver's seat this year.
Yeah, welcome.
He'd have some conversations.
Yeah, welcome to team management, Ian. We've been grooming you this for a while. Here you go. Yeah. Here's the reins. Now deal with this storm.
Yeah, we've had Roger DaCosta here for many years.
Yeah.
They're great. And then, yeah, welcome to this.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Yeah, if you're Ian Harrison right now and you're Roger DaCosta, like, dude, I don't know what you do. Like, I really don't know. Like, do you not have a dog in the fight? Like, how do you not play favorites? And, dude, what you need to do if you're Ian and Roger is go, boys, listen. You both are 1 DNF away from Eli Tomac winning this championship. Do not make contact. That's it. That's the one rule. That's the one thing that we are saying, because if either of you guys suffer a DNF, then we're giving this championship to Kawasaki. And I think that's probably the perspective that we need to think in terms of their headspace. Because I don't think they can have a favorite. But man, like, they've spent so much time with Marv.
Yeah,
they've spent so much time with Marv trying to win. And the plan worked. Dungy's understudy. Dunge retires. Marv walks into the driver's seat of the championship, sails off into the sunset with a 10-year plan working. And it's
changed.
They have their own, like, the reason that plan wouldn't work is from their own doing.
Yeah, success.
Their own success is going to potentially haunt a plan that has been in the making for 6 or 7 years.
Well, if there's, as you've said, if there's one team order, just don't collide with each other.
Don't make contact. Yeah. Don't hit each other. We cannot afford to have any DNFs because, look, at the end of the day, a KTM needs to win this championship. So, what else we got, bruh?
Roczen last weekend.
This one just gone, or we're going to talk Houston?
Let's go to Nashville. Let's start last weekend.
Nah, we got to go Houston. Let's go Houston. Because Houston, he comes out and rails them in the first main event. I think it was a 6-second win, or maybe it was either like 6 or 10 seconds over, pretty sure Coop got Dean. But that first, so I guess that's like kind of a milestone for Ken. So he's 2 years out with these injuries, and then he comes back with his first, I guess, crossing the line, checkered flag win at Houston in the first race of the Triple Crown. That's a mini milestone. Now, he's not going to count that as a win. Obviously, he doesn't get the win on the end of the night. But, I mean, you run that race for 10 more minutes, turn it into a conventional race. What? He's going to put 20 seconds on him? Like, he was the man that night. And then you go into the second race and he crashes in the first turn, hurts his toe, comes back to the third. Moto limps to the start line, puts in an effort, and doesn't get the win that he wanted. But that's got to be like a huge milestone for him to just collect a checkered flag first in a main event style format. And then we fast forward to this weekend. Now, I said it a few weeks ago, I think the last time we did the show, that those Hondas were looking really, really good in the whoops. Sealy looks amazing in the whoops. Ken has looked amazing in the whoops. This Nashville track this past weekend had two really like short but very technical whoop sections. And Ken was lighting it up. By far and away the fastest dude through those whoops. Like, it was ridiculous how good he looked through there. And look, we don't get many times a season, and we don't get many riders a season that will go fastest in qualifying, they'll get the win in the heat race, and then they'll just completely waste everybody in the main event. That only happens a few times a year.
Yep.
I mean, you might get that at get that out of Tomac at Daytona. You might get that out of like Marv at Seattle when he's on there, or it's a rare thing that you get a guy that knows he's going to win that night. Not only knows he's going to win, but everybody else in the field knows he's going to win. Those dudes lining up for that start at Nashville on the weekend for the 450 main event, they all knew that they were about to get waxed by Ken. 100%. He was going so much faster than everybody else. It was ridiculous. And the starts were there. He was, even if he didn't get a good start on the weekend, he was so much better through those whoop sections, and everybody else struggled so hard that he just would have ate everyone. Like, it was over. And then you fast forward to Ken flying over a berm and being stuck on the backside of that berm, thinking, what the hell just happened? This was my night. This was the night that I finally got to walk on the top step of that podium. I got to kiss my wife that has been through everything with me. I got to hug my mechanics. I got all of this tonight until I didn't. And that must be a heavy feeling. And I can guarantee that in those few seconds that Ken was stuck behind that berm, and you can even see in the footage that he like tries to claw onto a tough block to stop himself going all the way over. And it was like a scene out of a movie, dude. He just claws onto it, the grip slips, and it's all over. And I can guarantee you that when that was going down, that's what he was thinking about. This was my night. And dude, sometimes racing is not fair, and the guy that should win doesn't win. And God, that was that night for Ken. Like, he looked unstoppable, and now it's back to the drawing board.
You touched on something there just a tick ago. Do you think the new CRF this year looks maybe like it might be coming into its development zone? Like, as the season's progressed, maybe injury wise he's gotten like not better, but past the injury more that he's had. But I wonder how much of that's come back into the development phase of the CRF, because it does look, Cole Seeley's moved forward as well throughout the year, and he's obviously coming back from a massive injury as well. So interesting to see. Obviously, I'm no tech guy, but to see how much they have progressed with that bike.
Well, that bike looks amazing to me. It has looked really good all year. I know that Todd said when he rode Ken's setup, didn't ride Ken's bike, but he rode a setup that was quite similar to Ken's, that he said it was just the craziest thing he's ever rode. It was just so different. It was so reactive, and he just wasn't used to getting like that much feedback from a bike, and he struggled to go fast on it. And then he rode like a Christian Craig setup and said it was best bike he's ever ridden.
Wow.
So there's some stuff that Ken does differently with his bike setup, and I don't know exactly what that is, aside from sort of just what Todd sort of told me. But it is interesting, and I've been, after hearing him say that, I've been sort of trying to watch his bike a little bit more and see if it does look like reactionary in that way. And I think it does look quite active. But regardless, like, they have that thing dialed through the whoops, and it's looked good for a while. The stock bike is, I think it makes the most horsepower out of the stock bikes, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether it just is starting to come of age in that testing phase like you're talking about, or if it's just a mix of those guys getting better from injuries. But I mean, I've been thinking about it lately. Do we hold Ken Roczen to such a high standard that him not winning this year is a massive letdown? Because let's put it into perspective. He has one of the worst crashes in Supercross history. Has one of the worst injuries in Supercross history. There is doubt in the first few days of that injury if Ken Roczen keeps his arm. That's the perspective we need to keep in this situation. So then, being the dude that he is, he doesn't give up. He does grueling rehab. Like, grueling rehab to get it back to having a functional limb that he can live with, right? And then we go to the point where he's getting back on the bike. Now, I was playing golf with Ken after he just sort of started doing motos again, right? And it was the fucking craziest thing I've ever seen. He had no movement in his wrist, right? So when you're doing a moto and you're in Florida and it's hot and there's sand in your gloves and everything like that, what's sort of giving you a little bit of relief in your hands is movement in your wrist. So it's not like there's just this locked thing and it's this sandpaper motion between the glove and your hand and the grips. There's a little bit of give and a little bit of movement because of the wrist movement that you have. So Ken had none of that movement. So he was going out and doing motos and he was having the entire palm of his hand come off skin-wise. So is he having is this a disappointing year if he doesn't win? Or do we go back to the Ken Roczen that had his fucking palm ripped off from just your average moto that he used to be able to do all the time? Like, what he has had to come back from is so remarkable, and to just be back at this level now, like straight away, like Millsaps couldn't do it. Millsaps got head injury, couldn't come back from it. Like, there's a bunch of dudes that have had big injuries and that was it. They're done. Like we saw, how good did Stefan Roncada look at points in his career? Back injury took him out with, just couldn't manage that. Nico Izzy didn't come back. Austin Stroop didn't come back. All of these young dudes that had these promising careers that just couldn't make it back. They could not make it back from the hell that they got forced into. And we've got Ken at this incredibly high standard to where if he doesn't win this season, we're like, damn, when's Ken going to win? It's like, dude, look at what he just went through. And then you go through all of that and then you come back and then you break your other arm. It's pretty fucking bad as well. And then you go through that whole process again. So it's like, damn, dude. It's almost like he should be getting some kind of warrior award just for being there with everything, that he has been through. But then again, it also goes to show the standard that we hold him at. Like, how good he is. When he crashed and went flying through that stadium, he was the king of the world, dude. Factory Honda, lighting up everybody. Like, he looked so good, it could have been a perfect Supercross season. So it's crazy. Like, I have these moments where I have to like remind myself of all this. Like, this dude almost lost his arm and he's back here 2 years later, was in the championship conversation for the first half of the season. And I think that what's left for Ken to do with the way that this championship fight is going to go down, I think that we see Ken win a couple races before the end of this. I think there's going to be a lot of championship noise. He's sort of not in that now. And I think he does get those wins that he really deserves to have. And
the success that he's had prior to all this, he didn't have to come back.
No, dude.
The legacy that he's already built, there's no chance that he had to come back to this.
And bro, he is such a tight ass. Like, I can't even tell you how much of a tight ass Ken Roczen is.
So did you pay for golf?
Dude, I used to pay for fucking everything when I was around him. It was ridiculous, dude.
Massive dedication. Come back to this, for sure. Yeah,
it's insane, and it speaks to it speaks to him as a person. It speaks to him as an athlete, and you know, a lot of it is to do with his upbringing and his dad as well. He's just a crazy dude. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in like a really cool way. Like that, you should see the shape his dad is in as a fucking 50-year-old man. Like, it's out of control. So I don't know. He's just had this crazy upbringing. There's this crazy drive there, this crazy will to win, and yeah, like, you could just be this sort of rock star, cool guy dude. And I mean, like, I brought up Nico Izzy. Like, that's what he was. J-Law. All those dudes had the crazy talent that Ken has. Maybe Ken had more than them even. And you see so many kids that like piss that away, and then when something like that happens, they can't come back from it. You know, the demons Ken would have had to come back from this is so crazy. The doubt he would have had, like, yeah, he's a special dude. And I really hope that we see him get some wins before this season's out. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Whether it's this year, whether it's a 1-1 and in outdoors coming up, but you know, he will be back and he will be vindicated. And dude, I'll probably shed a tear for him when he does, because maybe no one in the sport deserves it more than him right now. And I think too, man, it's just heartbreaking to see how on he was at Nashville. He was on, bro.
He's not.
He was on. And then Joey Savacci tucks the front. And Ken had he had nowhere to go. It wasn't like he literally could have done anything. It was in the air, his tyres touched the ground, and then Joey's back wheel was there to collect him and send him over that berm. Like, fuck.
There's nothing you can do.
Literally nothing. Couldn't have done anything. So, but yeah, I mean, that's sort of where I'm at with Kenny. I really hope he gets a win. He fucking deserves it more than anyone, that's for sure.
Definitely. And it's just success to be back there after those things, for sure.
Oh, definitely, dude.
Eli.
What do we even say about Eli, dude? So he was the first dude in like a million years to win the LCQ and then also win the main event. With the way, like, he was riding good in the heat, then he obviously had bike trouble, stormed off to the hauler, and then comes out, wins the LCQ obviously, and then wins the main. I think he wins the main because Ken crashed out of the main. I don't think that you would have seen Eli beat Ken that night. But yeah, I mean, it's just a riddle of, like, you know, you go back to Houston and he just didn't look good. Like, Marv crashed twice and passed him. Like, when the fuck do you see that?
Never.
So it's yeah, I don't know, man. But that being said, he could still win the fucking championship. He's 21 points back.
Not much in it.
There's like, if you're within you need to be within a race. If you're within a race, then you've got a chance. And look, knock on wood, but Coop hasn't had like that disastrous race yet. Hasn't had a bike let go, hasn't had a first turn crash, hasn't had any of the craziness that can happen. And a lot of that has just been him being a fucking badass and doing his job and making his own luck. But it's like we saw with Ken that, and even Alessi, the way Alessi took him out in the heat race, like Coop couldn't do anything about that. So there is situations that, like, no matter how much luck but if you're out in front, the way that he's been,
you win your championships on the bad day, and the bad days he's still succeeding.
Yeah, the bad days aren't that bad, man.
Yep.
And also, but shout out, I don't know if it's on our show notes, but Dino got his first podium par at Houston. Looked amazing. I was watching press day videos of him that someone posted. He looked ridiculously good on press day even, and yeah, it looks like he's got the bike working great. Looks like he is really fit. He always seems to be crushing the whoops as well, which has been a really big factor this season. Starts being a little bit better. The Triple Crown format obviously was good for him. I think he can get a win this season. I think he can get more podiums for sure. And also, I think it was cool that he did podium in Houston. Obviously, Bobby Hewitt and Karen, team owners of the Husky team, they are proud Texans. So I thought that was kind of cool to get a win for big bad Bobby in his home state, which would have been cool. And then you fast forward to Nashville, and Dino rocks up in cowboy boots and a white Rockstar cowboy hat and just continues to fucking win the internet. What round has Dean Wilson not won the internet?
None. He's been on it every round. He
goes to Dan Bilzerian's house and fucking jumps his pool in the week off at 1 week, and then shows up at the Marshawn Lynch jersey in Seattle, has the fucking hanging out with Beast Mode. It's like every single weekend Dean Wilson is the crowd favorite and wins the internet.
Best content of the year.
Best content that he puts out on his own Instagram.
Yep.
It's like the rest of the dudes going to figure it out. That like, oh, he's loved by everybody. And I get it. It's a little bit different when you're Marv and Coop and you're like hyper focused going into that zone of the championship. But man, Dean ain't being no slouch. He is battling every single weekend for the podium. You can have both guys, and I tell you fucking what, I never want Dean Wilson to retire. You know what I mean?
He's great for the sport.
Other dudes, whatever. There's another kid that'll come and still provide me with good racing. There'll be guys that will fill the top 10 that we'll cut back to on TV for a few seconds if you guys are in a cool battle. Maybe a transfer spot in the heat race. There'll be more of them. Won't be more Dean Wilsons.
Our sport misses entertainers. Dean's an entertainer.
And it's like genuine too.
Yeah.
Like there's no bullshit with Dean's entertainment. There's no gimmicks. There's no fucking, tough guy thing, or there's no badass thing, or there's no controversial thing. There's no... Dude, even when he gets in controversy with like the whole Ignite thing, it's not really controversy because he comes out and he's just like the nicest dude about it. And he's like honest and he's genuine. And people are like, yeah, no, I feel for you, Dean. Like, fair enough. Thanks for, even when he lands in controversy, he's not controversial. It's like, you don't have to be this crazy fucking marketing genius. You don't have to have a pitch. You don't have to have an angle. You don't have to have a sell. You can just be a good, genuine dude that enjoys the fans, loves the sport, loves the team that he's on, the people that he's around, and just like let people into that world, and you're going to succeed. And that's exactly what Dean's doing now. Like,
look at him at OzX and NZX. He was with us for 3 hours.
Yeah,
probably. And then for the fans as they were coming through.
Yeah,
there was nothing was ever a problem.
No, just
it's good.
Legend of a dude. And now the results are marrying up to the level of personality that he has and that he utilizes. And I think that is a super powerful combination. And dude, like, I can see Dean being the guy that is like almost responsible for like pushing the sport just a little bit more mainstream. Like Nigel did for skateboarding in more recent You know, like he sort of brings it into like hip hop culture or whatever. Obviously, had like Sheckler did that. I really think that Dean is the kind of guy that, you know, with the whole Dan Bilzerian thing, with the beast mode, like Marshawn Lynch. Like Marshawn Lynch is one of the biggest names in American sport. So he's like starting to kind of craft this little lane for himself.
Subculture.
Yeah. And I think that he is going to drag these other people into our culture. And I think that it's super special. And I think that, well, I know Bobby, they don't want to let him go. I'd say he'll be there for like a full-time thing next year for sure. But I really hope that the sport knows exactly what we have here. Like, it's a special dude with Dean. So see him get on the box in Houston, really, really bloody gave me the heebie-jeebies.
And what do we expect?
Gave me the willies.
What do we expect from Colorado? CBD sponsor going straight into Colorado.
I expect Dean to just be fucking blitz the entire time. No, he doesn't do that shit. Colorado will be interesting. I have the funniest story of all time about Colorado with Dean, but I'm going to wait. We've both said that we'll wait till he's on the podcast properly to tell that story. We haven't actually told it, but it involves Justin Bogle being super underage, Dean Wilson being underage, me being 21 or 22, and a nightclub right before Motocross Nations, sneaking out of the hotel. So there's some very good. Then it also involves someone getting in trouble with the law. Yeah, but it's a sick story. So
sounds big.
I need to wait. We've said we're going to wait for that one. But so that's our Colorado history. But I don't know. I haven't even looked at the track map for the weekend. I think Eli will have a massive point to prove at Colorado.
Back home. Coming
off another win. But I don't know. I just feel like Ken could just got that juju. And could just be dominating. Be interesting to see what the bikes will be like up there.
Yeah, I don't know what altitude is at Denver.
Yeah, well, it's about a mile high. Like it definitely hurts the lights bikes. That's going to be super interesting to see what the lights bikes are like. But yeah, the 450s, it's going to be I'm interested to see how big a factor that plays. Like, it could just be negligible. But I think that there might be some guys that are scratching their heads about it. Wonder if Coop has an advantage just because it'll be slower and he's like the last dude off a 250.
Yeah, maybe so.
That's just like full spitballing. What else we got?
Probably the last guy we'll touch on for the 450s. I don't know if we've got much else to go with that part, but Blake Baggett got second last weekend. He's been pretty consistent throughout the year too.
Dude, he's been pretty good.
Yeah.
He has been good. Got a win on the season, a few podiums. He's made up an all KTM podium, which is pretty cool. He has like a little bit of the Tomac inconsistency though.
Yeah, he does.
I don't know what that is all about. But yeah, super nice dude. But I mean, fuck, like you talk about Dean Wilson, it's like we got so much cool shit to talk about. And then you go to Baggett and it's like...
What is there?
Yeah. And it's nothing against him. Like, he's a super nice dude. But it's like, fuck, give us something to talk about. And we will. You know, your name comes up, you're on the box, you're doing your thing. Hey. But it's like, I don't know, don't really have too much to talk about other than like you're riding pretty good, dude. Yeah, keep it up.
That Sunday between, for Sunday for us, we get to see 40 minutes of him. The rest of the week, what do you see of Blake Baggett?
I don't know, not much.
But
yeah, he's just not. Yeah, I think he's just one of those dudes that's just like so regimented, doing his thing. It's Groundhog Day for him every single day of his life.
Yep.
I don't think there is a lot to show.
Pretty comprehensive for 450s.
Yep.
I think we move on.
Yeah.
You got anything else for 450 wise?
What is there else? I'm stoked for Sealy. He's looking good. Savachi looks like he's going to be out. That crash was pretty weird on his shoulder. You could see it like extended and like rotated, and he was hurt straight away. I guess to segue into the 250s, Another dude that got hurt is Austin Faulkner. That was gnarly. So he just basically like got bucked and then dabbed his foot in the whoops, and it was just like, it's like a blown knee for sure. Like the way that he was holding it and on the ground, and like he was like punching the ground. I think he just felt it pop bad. I don't know whether or not he will be able to come back this season. I'd say he's going to give it every effort he can to do that. But that's like a massive ass dude. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's going to be interesting. Martin obviously steps up, does what he needed to do, which is obviously not let one of the championship rivals get maximum points. So he did that. Chase Sexton would be my pick for that championship if Austin doesn't come back, which would really suck for Austin. I think he deserves it. And then that's a long road back. And he's been injured quite a lot already. Mitch just can't seem to get a break when it comes to that with the Star 250 dudes. And then, Justin Cooper sort of went a bit crazy on the weekend, took out Chase. Chase ended up coming back for second. But, yeah, it's going to be... Everything hinges on Austin coming back.
Yeah. 3 points in it. There's nothing there.
Yeah, fuck, dude. So good. Like, he just was so good before that happened. But he was crashing a lot, like every practice, dude. I don't know how you crash every practice and then pull it together for the races and just be flawless. Like, I really think that if you're doing that well, but like, fuck, a crash is a crash, you know, like you're not planning on crashing. It just seems weird that a dude's making a habit of crashing in practice.
Yeah, it's definitely 3 points. Like, he probably had the chance to be more than that ahead at this part of the season.
Well, I mean, he
really did.
Well, he didn't, in the fact of like he almost had maximum points for every weekend. And then, so it's like, it's just insane that he's been running that good that he still has the points lead after a bloody DNF. But yeah, I guess everything just hangs on. But I mean, even say he comes back, say he races, is he going to be the same? 3 point lead's probably not enough to win that title, to be honest. Like, it's probably over regardless. Yep. Which is gnarly.
Be nice to have him back for Vegas.
Yeah, for sure.
Showdown.
But
it's not far.
Yeah, it's hard.
Troy Lee Designs. This is hopefully, obviously for Troy Lee fans, we're going to be their year in the 250. It's sort of fallen a bit by the wayside at the moment.
Dude, like, imagine with what just happened to Austin Faulkner. Imagine if Jordan Smith was still on that coast.
Yeah.
He would have been looking amazing to win this title. And I just feel so bad for Tyler Keefe because he's such a great dude for one, but he's also a great team manager. Like, they run a phenomenal program. They've got amazing bikes. Tyler is a massive team player. Huge support from KTM. Huge support from Troy Lee. And it's just never clicked in the way that it should. It should click. There isn't something missing. Jordan Smith is a super capable rider. Shane McElrath is a super capable rider. Both amazing talents. And what we've spoken about this on this show before. You've got these boxes that you need to tick to win any championship. And then the rest is up to just dumb luck. And it's like all these boxes are ticked when it comes to Troy Lee KTM, but they just don't have that sprinkle of luck. And this is another year that, unfortunately, this team doesn't get to hold a number one plate. And I mean, dude, you even think about the luck to like Jesse Nelson.
Yeah.
Like, that's a dude that could have been a champion. That's a dude that should have been a champion. And I guess in a lot of ways, that dude actually is a champion. He just never got to hold a plate on a podium like that. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And I think that, I guess to touch on the Shane McElrath situation, for people that don't know, he basically, so the 250 class, if you score a certain amount of points, within 2 seasons, you point out and you have to race the 450 class for the following year. We've seen this happen to a bunch of dudes over the last few years. I think it's a good rule. But I think they should adjust it because you can see a guy like Shane. I mean, he still is a young dude. The 450 class, because of this rule, the 450 class is stacked. So I think we were having these years where the lights class would be better than the 450 class because it was so stacked on both coasts. And then you'd have like the top 3 or 4 dudes in the 450 class, and then it thinned out. But it was also the era of superstars with Chad, Ricky, James, K-Dub. So it's like, geez, how much room was even in there for those guys? But I think that rule has really had a positive effect on the 450 class. Why we're seeing one of the best 450 seasons of all time. But now we're getting guys like Shane that are sort of getting hung out to dry a little bit. And then they're going to be forced into a 450 class that has 11 factory riders and 0 room. So what do you do? And I mean, I get it. So I guess he's basically, AC's going to win this championship. He missed around through some injuries. There's no point going back and pointing yourself out of a championship that you can legitimately win in 2020 on a team that can win in 2020.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thinking there. There's been some critics of it. I heard Steve Mathis was talking about, back yourself, go to the 450 class, blah, blah, blah. Man, these dudes are risking their fucking lives and their livelihood every single day. If you're a young kid that has a finite time on his career and you can be on a championship level team like Troy Lee KTM with a great team manager, with a great infrastructure and a paycheck, that's what you do.
And it's proven. You go to the 450 class on a non-factory bike.
Yep.
What's the point?
And go there a winner.
Yeah.
Look at Coop. Coop went there like hot. Championship after championship after championship. Spent his first 2 years struggling.
Yeah.
It's like, you need to go there hot. Like, this is a different game now. It's elevated everywhere. The expectations are up. The money's up. The power of the bikes is up. The weight of the bikes is up. The races you're doing. Like, this isn't like a decision you take lightly. We saw Villapoto build to the 250 class with Alden for 2 years. Like, his last season in a lights bike, he got bigger, he got thicker, he got stronger. He started to evolve into a 450 rider. So for Shane to just have like this thing thrown at him mid-season, I was like, dude, you're going to point out. Like, there's no preparation for you're not giving yourself a year to go into these 450s. Like even Osborne started doing it. He knew he was out. He knew how to 450 ride. And he started getting on that program. And for Shane, you just want to point yourself out and throw yourself to the wolves with no deal in a class that has 11 factory riders already. No, thank you.
No way.
I don't give a fuck what Steve Mathis thinks about me. I'm doing what's best for me, and that is to stay there. And you look at Shane. He wasn't this phenom amateur dude like Adam Cincerello or Cooper Webb or Jeremy Martin. He wasn't this guy that came to the lights class with all these Loretta's titles, all this hype, all this anticipation. He wasn't that dude. So a few years into his pro career, being a guy that's been in the hunt, had red plates these last couple years, dude, you are overdoing your job. You are over delivering. Kudos to you. You are with Adam Cincerello. You are with these guys that had all the accolades. They had every reason to win championships straight away. And Shane didn't. And he's there. And he's been one of those guys. We've seen him just like wax people at Red Bull Straight Rhythm even. Like, this dude can ride. Like, he needs a little bit more time to really put this recipe together. And I think he's making the right call by staying.
Definitely.
He's going to cop some heat for it, but it is what it is.
And he's still young. What's another year to be there?
100%,
He's
bro.
got time. There's heaps of time, and who knows? There might be a another KTM factory ride opening up in 2021.
Dude, yeah, that's going to be interesting. What else we got?
AC and Ferrandis.
Yeah, Ferrandis got his first win. Then I think he went back to back. Adam had that weird crash. But yeah, I mean, everyone knows I'm a AC dick rider for show. So I really want him to win that championship. I really hope he still does. That's sort of where I'm at with that. Sorry, FaceTime call coming through. See you.
It's sort of back. I think we'll wrap up pretty soon, but sort of back to the Alden thing. Having the boys back there training through the week. This is the first time that he's had this sort of thing. How do you reckon he's dealing with that?
I will get back to you in 2 seconds. I just got this as dinner. Harley goes to America tomorrow, so we've got to...
Going to get, 9 world titles?
Yeah, fuck, I don't know, man. I think he's up to like number 10.
10.
Alright, I'm back. Do
you build a wall in the training facility?
Dude, that's like so crazy, this whole thing. I mean, I feel like Alden's the dude for the job, really, though. Like, he comes from a military background. He's a leader of that facility. Like, he is the boss.
Yeah.
He's the smallest dude there, but he runs that shit. And I think that without a dude like Alden that is really in charge of what goes down on a daily basis at that facility, this whole thing turns to shit. I believe the reason the wheels are still on this wagon, in a sense, is because of him and because of his leadership and the fact that that's his house.
Yeah.
That's his facility. You don't drive on the fucking grass at Alden's. That's how he runs his program.
Wow.
So I think that is going to be the thing that's like almost keeping the train on the tracks. I don't think... You know what though, bro? Like, they've got 2 facilities there. They've got the lights facility and then they've got the 450 facility. So they've got these 2 big sheds on either end of the property. I mean, it might not be outside of the realm of possibility that they take Marv and they keep him there, and then they take Coop and then they keep him there. But you do that and you don't have any accountability of those 2 dudes having to sit next to each other in those lawn chairs after their motos and have Alden come through, and they sit down, they watch tape together, like they do that stuff together. So I think that it's that forced interaction that holds them accountable for their actions, if that makes sense. So I think that if they go, look, this is getting heated, we separate those dudes, I think that opens up the door for like a lot more shit to go down on just the training tracks.
Keep that bond there.
I think that they need to keep these dudes together. It's going to be uncomfortable, but god damn it, it's probably going to be safer for both of these guys. So, man, it's an unprecedented situation. What we're seeing right now between Marvin, Musquin, and Cooper Webb is unprecedented in this modern era. And not to mention, like, we have access, bro. When Jean-Michel Bale and Jeff Stanton had their battle going down like fucking 20 years ago or whatever it was, there was no Red Bull Moto Spy.
No way.
There's no way we're seeing into the training facilities. There's no way we're seeing these guys interacting with the team. The access we have as fans right now is ridiculous. And I think that, we have seen teammates go out at 1 and 2, but we've never seen it like this. We've never seen it to where we can actually be a fly on the wall in these scenarios. And it's like, dude, these next few weeks of these 2 guys essentially living together and battling for the most coveted trophy in all of Supercross. It's crazy.
Makes you want to go to Vegas.
Dude, we should go to Vegas. Does anyone want to sponsor us a trip to Vegas? We'll come and do one of these from the cheap seats. Dude,
straight under Sam Boyd. We'll be there.
I wonder, we could probably pull it off. Feel like we could.
4 weeks.
Is that how long it is? I need to get a visa. I don't know. Maybe we should think about it. All right. Well, I think that is gonna.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
Is that everything? Actually, I'll check some notes. Mick, what else have you got going on, mate?
Oh, mate, pretty quiet at the moment. Just planning a trip to Vegas in 3 weeks.
Yeah, true. I'm just going to check my notes. Do you just want to check that email, make sure we're not missing anything?
Yeah, pretty much. We've touched on Mr. Baker, Ken.
Yeah. Also, we dropped a little bit of a story on the gram yesterday. Oh, by the way, follow us on Instagram at Gypsy Tales Podcast. I should do the sponsors too, I guess. But yeah, we sort of threw an idea out there. So anyone that's on the Gold Coast, we're thinking about having a live, I guess like a live podcast with some of our all-time favorite guests that live on the Goldie. Sam Moore, Harry Bink, we got Todd Waters, we got Michael Crawley, we got Puck and everybody. So we're thinking about having a night at Nightjar, doing the podcast there live, but not just a podcast. I don't know, maybe make it like a bit of a cool show. Get some cool stories to sort of tell in a bit of a different way. And then obviously we'd stick around, have some beers, have a bit of barbecue. Yeah, so anyway, we're sort of thinking about that. We threw it out there. The DMs lit up. Apparently there's a ton of people that want to come to it. So that's in the works. And yeah, just I guess follow us on Instagram if you want at Gypsy Tales Podcast. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which obviously this content lives there in its video form. New studio is coming along way quicker than I thought and way quicker than I'm probably ready for. So yeah, we're going to be building that, which yeah, that's going to be crazy. We're going to have, the internet's not going to be a problem there. A lot of space, a lot of everything. It's going to be pretty sick. And yeah, it's coming up scarily fast. We'll probably be in there in a month, which is crazy to even think. But yeah, I don't know. That's been going on pretty rapidly behind the scenes. But yeah, just working on different stuff here and there. But yeah, thank you for tuning in to this Supercross Companion. It is going to be a very wild ride these next couple of weeks. I'm excited for it. Yeah, thanks for making the trip down, Mick, you bloody mad dog. Mick has to drive like an hour, 2 hours to do these.
Yeah, we got a bit of trouble.
Yeah, so everyone appreciate it. Stop leaving fucking shit comments. Nah, these get good comments. People like these. People just don't like me and everything else. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you to our sponsors, Boost Mobile and the legends at Nobby Underwear. You can go to boost.com.au and nobbyunderwear.com.au. Right now, this time of month is when everybody gets their nobbies. So yeah, tag me in them on Instagram because I love that shit. Sick. It's a good time of the month. But yeah, thank you very much for listening.